had forgotten to record, sorry for that, for the sake of ensuring that they are very interactive and so on. So basically, when we are talking about analytical AI, sentiment analysis, and so on, we are talking about analysis of text data to make informed business decision. Then the last one is what we call functional AI. One of them is IoT. IoT solution stands for Internet of Things. We have robots. Internet of Things, for instance, um, if you have a gadget, we call them wearables. You can have a gadget that looks like a watch. Then this gadget is able to take your body temperature, your heartbeat, and so on. And this data is relayed to a certain server in real time. As well, uh, in IoT, again, works in form of, for instance, I was talking about maybe the weather index insurance, whereby if temperatures, we have a certain gadget that detects that if temperatures fall beyond a certain or above a certain limit, then it sends a trigger to the system that is able to compensate all farmers within the shortest period of time. That's how IoT works. Then robots, of course, robots also do some work of like what it can do as human beings. Like for instance, if you go to these automobiles that are manufacturing these vehicles like Mercedes and so on, even if you go to the YouTube channel, you can see that we had some work that human beings used to do that are being done by robots. Like you can see, there's a conveyor belt. Then if this robot is fixing a door, it just fixes a door. If this robot is fixing maybe a windscreen, it just does that, and so on. And also during the time of COVID, we saw these robots being introduced just to assist people to keep social distance, to do patrols, and so on. So those are robots, and they are part of this artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence also is part of advanced, I can say it is part of that advanced machine learning, because when you go from machine learning, deep learning, then you go to artificial intelligence. So it means that you cannot move from you cannot move from you cannot escape doing machine other units of machine learning and go straight away to AI. You will struggle, but if you follow that route, the spiral curriculum way how it is built, then it is very easy to do so. So having looked at that now, it is very important we look at emerging issues in this data world, because as I said that about 90-95% of the data that is being generated globally currently, this data has been generated in the last 2 years. So we want to look at data governance. Like for in Kenya currently, we do have the office of it is called ODPC, Office of Data Protection, ODPC, Commissioner, yeah. Office of Data Protection Commissioner. In Kenya, already organizations are required to comply either as data processors or data controller. A data processor mostly is a third party. Like if APRI CDSA gives your data to a third party to handle maybe the registrations and so on. That third party is called data processor. But a data controller, if you submit our details directly to us, we become our data, what do you call data? We become data controllers. For instance, when you apply for that license, you are being told like you have to disclose in case you are transferring this data internationally. Like for us, like we are working with IBEC and so on, the organization had to disclose that this data for the purpose of certification and so on is being transferred to Netherlands, and this is the kind of data being transferred: name of the student, I think ID number, and the image that you do upload. So it has to be, and that one also is in the data, the company data, what is called data privacy policy, and so on. So the issue of data privacy and so on has become very uh, it is one of the very, I can say it is a very serious matter. And I'm seeing, because more people are becoming enlightened on how their data should be used, those organizations that are not going to comply are going to incur a lot of costs when legal suits will be. Maybe in case clients and someone else sues that organization maybe for using their personal data without consent. So let us now look at data governance. So what you need to do, whether you are a data scientist, a data analyst, a data engineer, machine learning engineer, business analytics expert, you need to understand data governance. So you need to be aware when you are working with data, and especially personally identifiable information, which requires some significant legal and regulatory compliance. This means that any potential failure could mean serious consequences, such as legal lawsuits, fines, and losing some kind of consumer trust. Because, for instance, today, if you find your personal data, maybe you have given Safaricom your personal data, you have a contract between you and Safaricom, then you find out that this data, your M-Pesa or mobile money data, has been transferred to the government, so that the government can try and see how you have been transacting. So you see, if that is transferred without your consent, it means that you will lose trust in that particular company. So, as we see that regulations are being introduced to tighten up how companies collect, store, and use this data. And I think for Africa, they said they complied. I saw they posted on social media, I think some weeks ago, LinkedIn, I saw the certificates there. But I just want to hear maybe from our colleagues outside Kenya on this issue of compliance, if you have regulations and so on. And I want to start with where is Francis? Francis, I saw Francis. Yes, Francis. I think you are from Malawi. How how are the regulations in Malawi with regards to data governance?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I would say like currently, there's just been a law that has been made up now. You look at back then, there were a lot of people were complaining about their violation of their data. So now the government has just put in place the laws concerning the privacy of people's data. But back then it was like you find your data with someone else and you ask them it was something, there was no law about protection of people's data, but now since last year things have been changed now.
Okay, thank you so much, Francis. So
Yeah.
from is it Malawi, right?
Yes.
Yeah, from Malawi. So we are seeing the government is working on something in Kenya. As I said already, we have regulations. Uh, Shanice, I don't know how are the regulations in, is it Rwanda? Shanice Ngonga. Yeah. Are you in a position to speak? You tell us how things are in Rwanda?
So they have also some regulations about them, but I actually don't know well what the real regulation that they use now, but I know they have some regulations.
Okay, thank you for that. So what is coming up clearly is that we have regulations. Thank you for that, Shanice. Then we have Gertrude Angom from our neighbors Uganda. I see you have passed a very stringent bill there today. But tell us about the data privacy, Gertrude from Uganda. Hello, Gertrude, are you in a position to speak? You can even send a text to inform us in case we have those regulations in Uganda or not yet. Okay, maybe she's not in a position to speak, but I think she will give us updates later. Yeah, so allow me now to proceed with this. It is clear that from the contributions of the members from various countries, okay, from the contributions of members from various countries, it is clear that maybe Francis, you can mute so that we can avoid the background noise. Okay, thank you. So from the contribution of members is that various countries are complying. They have started either introducing these regulations or have already introduced them, and companies are required to comply. So, so when working in practice, it is very important for you to have a specialist legal advice with regards to these regulations rather. So, as you know that most businesses are successful with insights obtained maybe from third-party data and so on. And when you are building a business with key business processes that rely on data, it is very crucial. This is very crucial that you are the owner of the data. So, so it means that always make sure that you own the data for one, important business operations, secondly, for critical decision making, and third is for monetization. There's this company called oh, I can't recall it. Just uh, Rwazi. It is called Rwazi. Rwazi is a company. What they do, they have come up with a business model whereby anyone, like even yourself, you can enroll as a data collector or as an enumerator. I think that's the right term to use. Whereby, for instance, what they do, maybe you just go to a nearby company or organization or a marketplace and ask maybe what's the price of 1 kg of onions and so on. Then you ask some questions, then you send that data. So they have a database. What now they do with this data, they'll pay you as an enumerator wherever you are, but they sell this data. And I hope we understand that data is the new oil. People say so in the industry. So you can monetize, you can come with such kind of very innovative business models to collect data about how commodities are, how commodities, you get what called on-ground data on how various commodities are being uh, sold in various areas and so on. And this data, you can sell it or you can monetize it so that people can purchase, those who want these statistics and so on. So, but also when you are talking about that, it is very crucial for you to own this data for important business operations, for critical decision making and monetization. But also we have the data ownership fundamental aspects. First of all, is that always ensure that you own any data that is necessary to your business. And also, you must have the necessary rights and permission to collect and use the data. That's why most organizations have those what you call data privacy policies. Even if you go to AFRI CDSA website, you'll get it. They tell you that why they are collecting your data, how they are collecting, and so on. So it means that by the fact that you have accepted to submit your data, by default you have accepted those data privacy policies and so on. Another one is that you ensure the correct rights are in place in terms of, for instance, today, if you finish your IBEC exam and you want your image to be published like in a poster, like celebrating your success, we do ask for the consent. There's a consent form that you complete that you give us consent for us to publish the information in our social media platform. Without that consent, we can't do so, because it is only that consent that can protect us in case you go and try to sue us in a court of law. It is through that consent form or our data privacy policy that will protect us. So I don't know if do we have any questions so far on that before we go on best practice for verifying data rights. Okay. So on best practice for verifying data rights, uh, it is very important to have metadata which can include, maybe to explain what metadata means. Metadata is data on data. I can call it like that. Like for instance, I gave this example during one of our sessions. Maybe I can give you a questionnaire. Yes, Ephraim?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I want to maybe ask the both of the information we leave, like when you're signing into a building, how you is that information secure in the first place? Are we, because I see they ask for your ID and they leave your ID and you fill your ID number and your phone number. How is that secure?
Okay, thank you so much, Ephraim. So what normal happens, as I said that, for instance, in Kenya, I hope you are from Kenya. In Kenya, already we have regulations, and the owners of those buildings, because they are collecting personal information, I think they have already registered as data, uh, uh, those are data controllers. And during that registration, they have declared that we will be collecting this kind of information, maybe your name, ID number, and phone. And for reason why they are collecting, is for security purposes. But I cannot also say that this data is very secure because the security of the data lies upon the integrity of the employees. And I just want to give an example. For instance, we have our colleagues here who are working in the banking industry. I think in the banking industry, those machines that they are using and so on are very secure. We have CCTVs all over that you cannot even take a screenshot, image, and so on. But that one does not prevent a colleague maybe working from the banking industry, maybe to come two, three personal data details and share later, because that one cannot be detected. So the way I can respond with regards to that, Ephraim, is that it will depend with the integrity of those employees uh, to ensure that that data is secure. Because in case of any breaches, it means that they are the ones who are directly responsible. So, as much as we are trying to talk about the interventions, like in the banking and other organizations, we have a lot of security features that you cannot take a screenshot in your laptop, you cannot send an email outside the organization, and so on. But the bottom line now will come on the integrity of the employees. So generally is yes, we have these regulations, but I must admit that loopholes will always be there with regards to the safety of our personal data. So I hope that is okay, Ephraim.
Yeah, it's okay now. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Any other question? Any other question? Yes, Samuel. Sam, I saw your hand was up.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think it's more of an observation. It's not just. I'm trying to even Google the professional body for data science, like the way we have bankers, Kenya Bankers, or Kenya Institute of Banking, or ISPAC. Do you have any now that data science has become quite a big thing in Kenya, especially?
Yeah, we don't have in Kenya. Like for us, we are accredited by IBEC, International Association for Business and Analytics Certification. IBEC. I don't know if you have ever gone through their website. Let me share in the chat. In Kenya, we don't have. I think in Kenya there's no capacity yet in Africa in terms of in terms of I'm just sharing something I have shared in the chat. In Africa, I can say in Africa there's no yet capacity in terms of expertise in terms of coming up with those professional bodies and so on. Like for instance, so far, if you go to IBEC website in Africa, you see they have accredited Afris CDSA and another South African company alone. Most of the companies are that are offering this edutech training in data science have not are outside Africa. What I can say. So in Kenya, not yet. Even in Africa, in terms of accreditation bodies. So IBEC is like ACCA. In case you are doing accounting, I hope you understand ACCA, which is different from CPA. Sorry, not CPA, CASNEB. They are almost offering the same thing, CASNEB and ACCA. But you see, ACCA is globally, like if you have ACCA certificate, is more superior than CASNEB. The same as IBEC. is a global accreditation body. I don't know if that is clear. Who was asking that question? Sam. It was Sam.
Yeah, that's okay. Got it.
Okay, thank you. Ephraim, still you have another question?
No.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So maybe we can look now at the best practice for verifying data rights. So first of all, it is very important when verifying data rights, it is very important to have what you call metadata, which can include when and where was the data collected. And I have said metadata is data on data about, like for instance, um, um, maybe we have a session, a physical session at our offices at iHub. Then we give you a form to fill or to populate your personal information. Yes, our intention, the actual data that you are collecting is your personal information. But now the metadata that is there is when, first of all, it is very important for us to know, maybe in case of any breaches, data breaches, and so on, it is very important for us to know when and where was that data collected. So we can say maybe it was collected from iHub, AFRI CDSA offices on this particular date. Then what permission were given, like what permission were given for the purpose of collection of the said data. So that is the most important metadata. It is always good to understand when and where the data was collected and what permissions were granted with regards to that. Now, we have what called the General Data Protection Regulations, what called the GPR. Basically, this one before now, other countries came up with these regulations. It is a new legislation by the European Union that is aimed at protecting personal data. So it defines standardized data protection laws. For instance, in finance, we do have what called IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. So these regulations with regards to data protection is like a standard that other organizations, other countries can borrow from. So for instance, there, any company that fails to comply, they are fined up to 20 million euros. Any company, like for instance in Kenya, if you fail to register as a data controller or a data processor, you are fined and so on. So what is very important from today, in case you are working with any data, understand that private data has to be protected. Then also ensure that private data must be used for the purpose for which it was handed over. Like, if you gave your data for this specific purpose, it should not be used in a different purpose. Also, it is very important to communicate to users what data you are going to collect from them and how it will be used. So, as I said, most companies, to make this process easier and simple, they are using what you call data privacy policies. Maybe I just want to share a link of AFRI's GSA data privacy policy. You can read during your own time. But I think this is something most of you who are already employed understand very well. Maybe for our colleagues who are still uh, in maybe campus and so on, you might not understand this data privacy policy. So I have shared something in this chat. You can have a look at it later, what we mean by data privacy policy. So So it is clear that you have always to protect this data. So we can see that with regards to this data privacy, we saw that in case you violate, the consumers might lose trust in your brand. And I gave an example. For instance, you give a mobile network operator, they have our mobile transactions data, and they give this maybe data to the revenue authorities, who then maybe start trailing you that you are making a lot of money, but maybe in real sense it's just someone sending you money, or your line is just like how can I put it? It's just like an intermediary in between. Maybe you are sending to your child or daughter school fees. That money is not his or hers, then it is deemed to be that she's the one who is making all that. So that's just an example. So I don't have anything to add on data governance. This is a very huge topic on its own, but this, what I have highlighted, is very crucial for you to understand. In most organizations, they have what you call legal departments. The legal departments are the ones who are supposed to train the employee with regards to data governance and so on. But also for you, it is very important to understand how you are handling data. So before we come and look at the programming languages, I want also again to give you an opportunity in case you have any question, any question. This is an interesting and very interesting. Any question, any addition, any observation? Yes, Salom.
Good evening. So, I'd like to ask, in case you're using historical data that is already published, for example, in Kenya we have KNBS, which majorly deals with data collection, and then they are also the custodian of public data in Kenya, of the public statistics, sorry. So, in case you retrieve data from their publications and then you use it, for example, for a project or something, are there some accessories? Because for their publications, you can download them online. So in that case, if you get some insights and you communicate to the public, and then you are asked about the data sharing policies that you followed. Now, in that case, utasemaje? What should you say?
Okay, thank you so much, Salom. In fact, first of all, is that you see, when you have regulations, every regulations uh, every regulations have their own limitations. Like, at what point does that regulation become how can I, at what point does the application of that regulation maybe becomes null and void? Anything that has been published in a public domain is no longer private. Like anything published in a website, wherever, that's not private data, and no one is going to punish you with regards to, no one is going to punish you with violation and so on, because it is already information in the public domain. But the most important thing is that I think when we looked at data pre-processing, we saw on interventions that you can put in place to ensure that we have personal identifiable information, like the name of that person, ID number, we have maybe the phone number and so on. As long as maybe those details are not are not cannot be seen, then that one you cannot really know whose data is this and so on. Even for organization, maybe financial data and so on, you can share maybe data, and I'm not sure if this data is from this bank or which bank. So in case you don't have any identifiable identifiable information, then I think that is okay. Anything that is under the public domain, no one can sue you for using that information. I hope that is okay, Salom.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other question maybe before we go for a break? Okay, we can go for our 15 minutes, then we come back at 9. That's 9:17 Kenyan time and 8:17 Malawi time. So we can have a break. I want us to look at the last section of this unit, and we want to look at some of the languages that are mostly common in this data science, data analytics, business analytics domain. So, first of all, the key item is that knowing these languages enables the data scientist to devise the programs that can maybe execute specific operations. And the advantage of these languages is that the flexibility that you have, especially as I had informed you, for instance, when you know, okay, when you can work with maybe R alone, and sorry, not R, Excel alone, and you are unable to work with other tools, your skills will be limited, especially when you get unstructured data, such as text data and so on. So, R, Python, there's another one called MATLAB, combined with SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Mostly we use to retrieve data from databases. These languages cover most of the tools that are used when working with traditional data, business intelligence, and of course the conventional data science. So when you come to the industry currently, R and Python, of course, Python is the most popular, that's the reality, but all these are the most popular tools that are across all data science subdisciplines. Subdisciplines here, I'm talking about business intelligence, I'm talking about machine learning, I'm talking about data engineering, I'm talking about data analytics, and so on. So the biggest advantage of these two languages is that they can manipulate data, and you can integrate them with multiple data and data science platforms. For instance, you can build your machine learning model in Python or R and integrate in a platform, a web-based app that maybe has been built using a different programming language. So it means that these softwares are adaptable. Like in an organization, for instance, when you are trying to implement these softwares, you need to look at a software that is adaptable to the existing systems in the company so that the company cannot incur more cost. So when you are coming, when you want to work, for instance, with what you call relational databases, that you can store your data, SQL is the most common one. So, and the main reason why it is the most common is because it is created for the purpose of retrieving that data from the server. And as I said, that SQL is really important when you are working with traditional historical data. For example, when you are doing a business intelligence like structured data. But unstructured data, uh, mostly we have what we call data lakes. We have what we call data lakes that stores unstructured data, mostly like images and so on. And that one, you have now to deal with big data to retrieve the data. We have some kind of big data items. It almost looks like SQL, but not directly, that can work with unstructured data. Another tool that is also used for data science is MATLAB, especially for those people who are working with mathematical functions or matrices and so on. Other softwares and frameworks. So, as what is very clear about this data science domain is that these software solutions are specific tools. You are looking at those tools that you can adjust for specific business needs. And we see that Excel is a tool applicable to more than one category. And Excel, I think most of us in an organization, even if you are a machine learning engineer, you might find yourself on a day-to-day basis also interacting with Excel. So, but as we say that this Excel works best in traditional data, business intelligence, and some traditional aspects of data science. Also, another tool uh, that is mostly used, I think there was one of our colleagues who was saying that they are working in government, like research and so on. I think one of the most tools also that are used is SPSS, especially when you want to work with this traditional data and when you want to apply statistical analysis. Then there's another tool that this one you will learn. It is called TensorFlow. This one is was some kind of a library. A library is a collection of tools, and mostly TensorFlow was designed to work with what we call big data. And I hope already we now understand what big data is. It's not a new term again. And it is mostly used in designing what we call machine learning algorithms. This TensorFlow, it was developed by Google, and the main purpose was to be used internally. But it became a public tool in 20. It became a public tool in 2015. And mostly this one you will use it when you will be dealing with what we call neural networks. These are basically tools that are trying to, or algorithms that are trying to reason or to do what human beings can handle. Other ones that you will come across in big data is Apache Hadoop. We have what called Apache HBase, then MongoDB. These are mostly designed for the purpose of dealing with big data. This Apache Hadoop, you will go through it. And nowadays in R also, you can interact with it in R, you can interact with it in Python and so on. Other ones, you have Power BI. I think Power BI is also very common since most organizations are using the Microsoft tools, such as emails, the Microsoft Outlook and so on. So they come with Power BI. Then we have another one called SAS. There's another one called QLink. This one also is a data visualization. Mostly they are used for data visualizations. These ones that are um, I'm highlighting, mostly they are used for Tableau. You will learn Tableau. These ones are used mostly for data visualization. There's also another one that is owned by Google. It is called Google Data Studio. Same purpose, data visualization. Then we have another one called eViews, mostly used for predictive analytics, and more specifically dealing with econometric time series models. I think I highlighted what um, what time series is all about. So, and also we have Stata. Stata is mostly used for academic, statistical, and econometric research. And also they can handle regression, those traditional data science approaches, and so on. So these are the most common tools. I think also people have been asked what's the difference between R, basically R, for instance, R and Python. This is R and Python. Both of them can do the same thing, but the learning curve and understanding, R is a bit steep, like the what you call the syntax of R is a bit technical as compared to Python, because Python mostly you will be writing like English terms, like what you are thinking is what you write as compared to R. So SQL, I have explained the main purpose, and also this one is part of what you are going to learn. And I said very clearly, this one you will only apply this mostly in companies when you find that in that specific company, maybe you are working with tasks that are to be automated. Instead of querying data daily, the data you just link. Maybe I'm visualizing my data using Tableau. I just connect my Tableau with SQL Server, then the data will be I'll be able to be getting it in real time. And then Excel, of course, this is most common. You learn Excel when you will be looking at the statistics unit, and the trainer will also be able to take you how to deal with structured big data in in Excel using what we call BigQuery. BigQuery is a new tool in Excel mostly that has been developed by Microsoft to ensure that Excel is also able to deal with structured big data. TensorFlow, you will learn about it in machine learning. Then another thing, as I said, that you learn is Apache Hadoop for big data, and you learn Tableau for data visualization. Yeah. So that's the end of our foundation. I think we have covered a lot, and I'm very sure, and I believe that at least now, majority, like a large proportion of you, have had now the theoretical perspective or understanding of this world of data. Until also we have looked at the emerging issues, the tools, the definitions, applications. What I can encourage you is that there's the materials I shared, you read more to get that theory, because when you have the theory part of it, it's now very easy to deal with the practicals, because from Monday it will now be practicals till the last time you will be doing the exam. So without taking much of your time, I want to give you an opportunity to ask first of all questions. Any question you have, and as I said, maybe for those who have joined late, tomorrow Thursday we will not have a class. It will be an opportunity for you to digest the content that you have learned. Same to Friday, given that you have not started attending the community learning, it is too early. On Friday also, I want to give you that opportunity to digest whatever we have learned so far, go through the recordings, the materials. Then the same Friday evening, I'll share a card via email, so I'll just update you once I send. And that card, you do it either on Saturday or Sunday. I'll give you 2 days to do it. Okay, just a minute, there's a blackout.